Hi, everyone. Welcome to our weekly tech topic. I'm Dave,
And I'm Ben.
and this is a session on soldering, which is pretty exciting. Our session today is brought to you by Chipola College. What's neat with soldering, Ben, is it's an activity that can be used to fix some mainstream components such as circuitry or just some fun peripheral devices like a flashlight.
Yes. And soldering really is an empowering practice in a sense. For example, if you buy a flashlight off the market and the flashlight doesn't work, you can always solder it, fix it, and you can bring it back to a normal flashlight.
Which is what happened to us.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
This really fancy helicopter here, I think before we started soldering on it, it was supposed to be a canoe, right? And it's turned into a helicopter. I don't know how that happened, but obviously we didn't plan. So
That's true.
we've been planning better here with this flashlight example. So
Yes. So today we would like to talk about the 5 tips to soldering a basic wire. So the first step is obviously to set everything up. Basically, you want all of your setup near a power outlet. Obviously, you need power for the soldering iron, and also in a clear space where there is nothing flammable or anything that can get in the way of this work. And also keep in mind that these soldering irons can get extremely hot. Some of them can get hotter than a normal oven. So please be careful with this tool. Now, step 2 is to put your circuit or whatever you are soldering into a vise. Basically, you are clamping this together so that it does not move. It is really nice to have a vise or any form of way to hold this still consistently, because while both of your hands are occupied, you don't want this, falling over, moving around, making everything a problem and, hazardous. Because, if you have hot wire or hot solder and you knock this over, it could cause problems.
and if it's moving while you're soldering, the connection won't be very strong as
Right.
well. So,
Yes. Step 3 is to heat up your soldering iron. You want to plug that into the wall, get it to the ideal temperature that you prefer, and to tin the soldering iron. So tinning the soldering iron is basically putting a small layer of solder on the tip of it so that it is easier to solder things. A lot of the time, solder can stick to the iron and move around like a little bubble, and it makes it much easier whenever you already have either a small layer of solder or tinner, as we call it. In the video, we use tinner, but either way works. Once you've done all that, you've basically set up and you are ready to start soldering. The 4th step is to find the contact that you want to solder and find the wire that you want to solder. So in the video, we are soldering a small wire to an LED circuit board that allows for the flashlight to regain connection.
with proper planning, you can everything set out ahead of time,
Yes.
just like we demonstrate in our little videolet, if you will. So,
Yes.
Yes.
And we do recommend disassembling the object, removing any power source. So if it's battery operated, if it's plugged in, the object that you're soldering should have no power at all. It can be dangerous. And we would also recommend planning all of this ahead in phase 1. This just helps to alleviate any issues that will come as you are touching a hot metal bar to wire. And once you have identified all of this and you are ready to solder, make sure that the wire is as close to the circuit board as you can. Push some solder onto the wire where the contact is and touch the soldering iron to the contact as well. The solder should immediately melt. It actually looks kind of weird, and it should it should connect to your contact.
Which is what we're going to demonstrate here, right? I mean, we've had great
Yes.
success with soldering. And when we turned this canoe into a helicopter, I mean, I can't believe we did that. But now we're about to demo our flashlight, right?
Yes, and the final step is to unplug your soldering iron once you've soldered. Make sure that the soldering iron stays in a spot where it can cool for a good amount of time. They can get to about 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and that can be dangerous if you just set it on a table. So usually we recommend these, they look like springs, but they basically hold it in and keep anything from touching the iron while it cools
And
down.
it's typically elevated as well, so
Yes,
keeps you
usually
safe. Yes.
they're elevated at about a 45 degree angle, which helps for it to be safe. And then the final part of step 5 is to reassemble your object and test it out. So we have the flashlight here that we soldered, and we have not demoed it yet, so hopefully it will turn on. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. So in 3, 2, 1.
Wow, that is bright, Ben. Wow.
Well, this just goes to show that sometimes soldering a single wire may not help a fried circuit board.
Sometimes you need a brand new flashlight.
That's fair,
That's
yes.
right.
So lessons learned and experience gained. Next time we can always revisit this and see what else is wrong with this flashlight, and I actually look forward to doing that. So thank you for staying for these tips.
That's right. And if you have an interest in learning to solder or working with circuitry, feel free to look at our website, chipola.edu. We have certificate programs, Associate of Science programs, Associate of Arts, and Bachelor programs where we can introduce you to technology and help you see how to apply that. So look forward to talking with you next time.
Thank you.